All right, I'm gonna try to make this short and sweet. All right, if I can. So all I've been seeing on social media is the lift everybody's doing, right? So I figured I'd give you my 2 cents on it. And why you don't see me doing a lot of these lifts, I've already kind of hit on it in the last video, but this one in particular, I see all the time. So I hit on it a little bit in our video about critiquing lifts, but I'm gonna get into it this time and show you, in my opinion, a better way to do these types of lifts. All right. This is why, though, I do it. I don't do it standing. All right. So essentially, I'm standing, right? Let me see if I can do this, because everybody I see is hunkered over, right? So this here is the point of the pressure, right? This is the starting point. This is where everything's driving through. We can all agree. So we can all agree as well, this motion is much different than this motion, right? This is going to be much easier and involve the shoulder way more, where this doesn't involve any shoulder, right? So the reason this is not going to be super consistent or super accurate as far as keeping a PR, and why you see people gaining 5 and 10 pounds every 3 days or whatever, is because their form is going to hell. All right, some guys stay pretty consistent with it, whatever. What I'm saying is the small difference is much more, it's impacting your number way more than you think. All right, so the center of my elbow, as soon as this pressure goes below the center of my elbow, right, or in line with it, like right here, you can see the slight downward angle of my forearm. All of that pressure is now on my my pronator and my bicep. None is on my shoulder, because I can't get under it to lift it with my shoulder. Okay? And my arm's not straight to lift it with my shoulder. So, if we can all agree on that, so as soon as you go to lift it, right? I'm getting all jacked up and shit, right? Right here, my shoulder's involved. Okay, you see the point of my elbow, or the center of my elbow, versus where the weight begins. So, you know, this slight, if your arm is not in a downward motion, a slightly obvious downward motion, you're not doing that lift, isolating those muscles we talked about. You're adding the shoulder into it. So your number's not going to be consistent, and you're probably going to lift a lot more weight. I'm not saying, hey, don't do this fucking lift, whatever. You know, if you want to get your buddies jacked up and, hey, Mike, you lifted 60 kilos, you know, whatever, man. Keep that shit rolling, stay jacked up, whatever. However, it's not going to be as consistent, like I said. It's not going to be as accurate, in my opinion, unless you're super, super strict on your form, which is hard to do looking at your arm from this angle, you know. You're going to want to drive that in there because you're stronger there, and mentally you know it. So anyway, I recommend doing it from a seated position. All right. Let me see if I can get at an angle where I can film this. Let me see. This is going to be, I should have thought this part out, but I didn't. Let me see. So, all right, if I'm in a seated position like so, my elbow is either going to lay on my leg, which is going to tell me exactly where the point of my elbow is. So we lift stuff like this all the time, so we know exactly when it's going to be lighter, when it's going to be heavier. So also, you can still free float it if you want, but it's much harder from this angle to drive under like you want to when you're standing up, leaning over like this, and fucking, you know, sit that elbow down. You want to engage that weight very low, you know, past the 90. Now it don't have to be, you know, here, just past the 90. And you can lean over and get as tight as you want, as long as that weight is engaging below the center of your elbow. You'll be fine. It's going to be consistent every time. You know, what do they call it? The Devin Lorette curl where he leans over. But you see, he starts engaging well below his elbow. So it's going to be more consistent that way. And this is not me ragging on any of you guys or whatever. You know, it looks cool and all that shit. I'm just saying, my personal opinion, you're not going to be as consistent. And this is why you're seeing 10 and 15 pound increases in 4 days, a week, hell, even a week and a half, you know, in my opinion. So I'm going to make a video next time I got a camera guy with me at the gym of doing some of these lifts. I'm going to do them from a seated position, and then I'm going to attempt to do them from a standing position and do them, you know, pretty strict form if I can, and see the difference, because I believe there's going to be a big difference, but who knows. I do, because I just told you. Anyway, all right, y'all guys have a good Saturday. Stay strong, roll tide.